An E3 presentation is always a big deal for a developer of any size, and so when I saw that Gearbox was doing its own standalone show this year, I was actually kind of looking forward to it. As a big Borderlands fan, I was hoping for a deeper look at Wonderlands, which was announced at the Game Awards before this, some news on Borderlands 4, which we know is in development, and then maybe a Borderlands movie trailer to top it off. Instead, Gearbox put on what genuinely may be one of the worst E3 shows I've ever seen, and that's saying something, given the history of the event. I missed watching the show live, but after hearing just how bad it was, I forced myself to go back and watch the 30 minutes, at least half of which is spent with Randy Pitchford roaming around the set of the Borderlands movie. I am actually curious about the Borderlands movie, and yet this was absurd. We didn't get a trailer, we didn't even see any actors in costume, as the closest thing to that was Gearbox showing silhouette set shots they already posted on Twitter last week. Just ridiculous to spend so much time covering the movie and still managing to show so little from it. As for Wonderlands, we literally got no more than a replay of the same trailer we saw at the Game Awards. This would have been a perfect time to dive into the meat of the game, to explain more about its blending of spell casting and gunplay and a new focus on melee weapons, but they did none of that. The only gameplay footage they showed was of Tiny Tina's assault on Dragon Keep, Borderlands 2 DLC from 2013. And no, we didn't get anything about Borderlands 4, even a title card announcement. Finally, without question, the most absurd moment of the show was a return to Godfall, the deeply terrible, looter slasher, that was a PS5 launch title, and one that repeatedly sold itself as only being able to run on PS5 because of its intense technical demands. Well, it turns out that's not quite true, and in what might be the first ever downgrade announcement, the biggest reveal of the entire Gearbox show was that Godfall was coming to PS4 when new DLC hit. Godfall was a massive miss, a looter so bad even I didn't stick around to argue about how it might improve itself to be a success. It just had no chance. The PS4 news is goofy enough, but I genuinely can't believe it's still getting actual DLC. And that somehow all of this was the biggest news to come out of the entire Gearbox show. If you are going to bother to have an E3 show, you better have something worth showing. I know Gearbox is working on a lot of stuff that at the very least, Borderlands fans would find interesting, but even that was somehow too tall an order as they refused to give details on Wonderlands or tease a future sequel. This was, without question, one of the worst E3 shows I've ever seen. And this is in the same weekend as the Koch Media Show and a deeply underwhelming Ubisoft event.